sports listeners. I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes.
Good morning, everybody. Wow. We're still facing off on this weather, and I'm so thankful. I mean, everybody knows we've got everybody here in the house today, and it's just so nice, and it's so green. It's very wet. And thankfully, it didn't come down as hard as they initially expected. So that's always nice. And Dr. D in the house here, he only had to not go home, 1 or 2 days, Steve?
I was away from the house overnight 1 day. Last a week ago, Monday night, I actually stayed up on the Riviera, and it was like being around multiple waterfalls. The water was going down the roadways up on that hillside so fast. That's what it looked like, a whole bunch of waterfalls.
Yeah, we got Don Sanders in the house. Hey, Don, how you doing?
Very well.
You're in
our canyon up above us. They're a helicopter evacuating people out. The roads just completely, landslide out.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's like, we just have to pray, and we want to give thanks and love to all of the first responders out there. I want to give a special thanks to Lash Construction, which has been on 24-hour alert, for weeks now. And anybody out there, Dominique and I went to Subway. We handed out sandwiches to the guys that are just, they didn't say no. So that was nice. But yeah, it's crazy weather, and we're going to get through this. And we don't know what February what's in store, or March, because I remember 5 years ago, those were the two big rainy months, but we're all going to get through this. And I'm so happy and so excited at the progress that all of our teen athletes are making on these recaps. They are every week they get better and better and better. I'm so excited. Any one of these kids can definitely think about having a career in broadcasting. So let's get to it. Let's start off. We got Santa Barbara High School. We got Romy Davies in the house. Romy, what's going on over in Santa Barbara?
Thank you, Erica, and hello, everyone. This is Romy Davies, Santa Barbara High School senior, reporting back from Santa Barbara, California, with this week's SB Dawn Sports Recap. In wrestling news, Nico Proft of Santa Barbara High won the 147-pound weight class, and 5 other Dons wrestlers earned podium finishes at the Santa Ynez Invitational on Friday and Saturday. Proft defeated Samuel Ramos of DP for the title. He didn't allow any points by his opponents en route to the championship, said Coach Mark Feidel. Austin Dye, 108 pounds, and Angel Parra, 162 pounds, took third place. Jose Ibarra, 154, and Jose Escapar, 184, placed fourth, and Benicio Garcia Holland claimed fifth place at 162 pounds. Santa Ynez sophomore Santino Alvaro won the title at 128 pounds, and Angel Gonzalez of the Pirates took sixth at 220 pounds. In basketball news, the Santa Barbara boys tightened up on defense in the second half and rolled past a game Pacifica squad 78-54 in a Channel League game Friday night. The Tritons made 8 three-pointers in the first half and took a 34-30 lead with about 4 minutes remaining until the break. The Dons went on an 11-0 run to end the half up 41-34 and carried the momentum the rest of the game. Their coach Corey Adams said that it was good to see the boys be accountable to themselves and each other on the defensive side for the entirety of the second half. With the win, the Dons improved to 5-1 in the league play, a game behind Oxnard at 6-0. The boys are 11-9 overall. That's it for this week's SB Dons recap, and see you next time.
Thank you, Romy. All right, DP High School, we're going northbound on the 101. Valeria, what's going on at the Charger House?
Thanks, Erica, and hey everyone, I'm Valeria Tiburcio Romo, back with this week's Charger recap. Starting off with boys basketball, they played against Pacifica High School with a final score of 47-37, the Chargers taking the win. Then girls wrestling participated in the California Girls Invitational and placed 23 out of 33 teams. The girls' captain, Victoria Bernard, placed first in the entire invitational. Girls water polo played against Oaks Christian in a non-league game. Unfortunately, the girls couldn't win this game with a final score of 11-10. Our boys soccer team played against our crosstown rival, Santa Barbara. Matt Sellers scored a goal in the 17th minute, then a handball by SB caused a penalty kick. which Alvaro Contreras scored, making it tied. The final score was 2-2. Then going back to wrestling, both girls and boys had a match against Pacifica High School. The final score was 55-18, the Chargers taking the win. Girls captain Victoria Bernard won 4-1, and the boys captain Samuel Ramos also won 4-1. Then boys basketball played against Buena High School. Unfortunately, we lost this game with the final score of 77-60, but it was a good game offensively. 4 players with double-digit points. Justin Stock with 18, Matthew Zamora with 14, Micah Goss with 11, and Grant Hughes with 10. Girls basketball also played Buena, but unfortunately lost the game with a final score of 54-36. And finally, going back to boys basketball, they played against Ventura. It was an intense game, but the DP boys came up on top with a final score of 48-47. And that is it for this week's Charger Recap. I'm Valeria Tiburcio Romo, and I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you, Valeria. We're going to have your uncle here in the house soon, Anthony Rodriguez. Definitely, the apple did not fall far from the tree, as they say. Great job. Let's go. San Marcos High School, Ambrose and Sammy. San Marcos Royals, the Royal Duet. What's going on?
Thanks, Erica. It's Ambrose and Sammy here with your weekly sports update.
Last Saturday, the wrestling team went out to El Monte to wrestle in the Royal Classic, where 5 of our wrestlers placed.
We had Angel Estrada taking 7th place, Ambrose Partee, Levi Cooper, and Jake Carroll taking 4th place, and Jacob Dominguez taking 1st place. It's been a great week for Dominguez, as him and basketball player Michelle Ayanes were named the Santa Barbara Athletic Roundtable Athletes of the Week. Congrats, guys! Moving on to soccer, our girls team beat SB 3-0. Caitlin Sparks scored in the first 5 minutes of the game to get a 1-0 lead for San Marcos. In the 28th minute, Leilani Venegas scored a penalty kick to make the score 2-0 going into halftime. In the 77th minute, freshman midfielder CC Mock scored a goal for SM to finish off the game. Coach Ziggy said, "This was a big win for us. Scoring was something we wanted to improve on during our games, and the girls really captured that moment. Congrats, girls." As for boys basketball, the rivalry game against SB got canceled due to weather, but they played Pacifica on Wednesday. The Royals won 63-48, with Wyatt Miller leading San Marcos with 11 points, while Ben Treadway and Joe Pasternak each scored 10. Coach James Kinsler credited the defense of Jonas Strand, Andre McCullough, and Owen Lauderdale for leading the comeback. Great job, boys. And last Thursday, the boys soccer team beat Pacifica 2-1 to improve to a 6-0 record in the Channel League. San Marcos responded well after allowing an early goal, with Justin Hess scoring an equalizer 20 minutes after Pacifica's opener. Hess later suffered a facial injury when he was struck in the face from a high boot off a Pacifica player. Coach McLean argued that a red card should have been issued on the play. He said the Pacifica player was ejected in the last 10 minutes of the game for a second yellow card. San Marcos came out strong in the second half and played with more composure, connecting passes all over, said Coach McLean. The final goal was scored by Jose Ramirez on a header after left back Leo Vico played Luke Sheffy down the left side, and Sheffy beat 2 defenders before crossing the ball to Ramirez. Coach McLean credits Jose Ramirez for being the man of the match for them. And that's all I have for your sports update this week. Back to you, Erica.
Thank you, guys. Every week, you guys, I love your energy. I love your passion. Just keep it up. You're doing a great job. Next, Bishop Diego High School, Sean Walters. Sean, what's going on?
Thank you so much, Erica. This is Bishop Diego High School senior Sean Walters signing on once again to give you the Bishop Diego High School sports recap. On Wednesday, the varsity boys basketball team came back from a 14-point deficit to beat St. Bonaventure in overtime, 62-57. We had some stellar performances as Louis Fernandez had 17 points, Brian Trejo had 16, and Isaac Veal added another 15 points. Great job, guys. Unfortunately, though, the boys lost 48-42 on Friday to a very talented Santa Clara team. Great try, guys. They will play their next game this Wednesday against San Ynez. On Saturday, our varsity girls basketball team clawed back from a 10-point deficit to get a 33-30 win against St. Bonaventure. Great job, girls. They're now looking ahead to Tuesday, where they will play league opponent Foothill Tech at home. Good luck, girls. And our soccer news, on Thursday, our boys soccer team lost a hard-fought game at Foothill Tech in overtime 3-5. Thiago Valerio scored 2 goals and Roman Geiler added 1. Good effort, guys. Our girls soccer team, though, got a massive 7-1 win on Thursday over Grace Brethren. Kaya Lily Penn and Sienna Urzua each had 3 goals, and Lindsay Doyle had 1. Amazing job, girls. Sadly, though, the girls lost a tough one yesterday against Foothill Tech 2-3. They were tied 2-2 until the final moments when Foothill Tech scored the winning goal. Nice try, though, girls. Well, everyone, that's all I've got for your Bishop Sports Recap. Please don't forget to tune in once again next week. This is Sean Walters signing off.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, guys. God, I love our kids. Listen, we've got Hooga. Keep it here right after these messages. And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hi there. This is Dominique Hackett with Santa Barbara Wellness Center, and this is a Hygge moment. Hygge is that beautiful new Danish Old Norwegian word that means things that are soulful, comforting, things that make us feel good, like being with family and friends and creating great teams for team sports and creating, debate teams and drama teams and all those fun things that make life really enjoyable. So today's Hygge is a quick little story from Socrates. So I get a kick out of reading people's interpretations of what might have happened during the time of Socrates. He didn't write anything down. We have information about Socrates because of some of his very famous students, for example, Plato. So this is a story that was created out of one of the dialogues that Plato wrote down that he says that Socrates taught. And it has to do with how do you talk to young athletes about things that might possibly be even more important than their body. Because most of the time as teens, especially teen athletes, we're really focused on the care of our body, right? So supposedly Socrates was talking to a young athlete and he said, look at this wall in front of us. Can you see that the wall has a beginning and it has an end? And the student was like, yeah, I can see that. The wall has a beginning and it has an end. So Socrates said, all right, so things that have a beginning will have an end. It's like, all right, that's logical. So that's part of, the importance of caring for the body, especially as an athlete. Our body began, right? And it's going to, at some point, we will experience death. And in between, we hope to have the best life experience possible. But then Socrates said, can you remember when you began? And the student thought about it. It's like, no, I don't have a memory or a sensation of when I began. I just am. So then Socrates said, well, do you know when time started? And the student thought about it. He's like, no, time doesn't have a beginning. So then Socrates said, okay, if the wall has a beginning and an end, and we know that things that have a beginning have an ending, then it makes sense that if something doesn't have a beginning, then it doesn't have an end. And so with this observation of nature, it's not based on religion, it's just an observation of nature, of our natural world. Socrates was teaching this athlete that there is more than just the body. There is part of us that has beginning and an ending, and then there's a part of our human experience that doesn't have a beginning and an ending. So then Socrates said, well, what's more important to care for? The part of you that has a beginning and an ending, or the part of you that perhaps never ends because it never had a beginning? And at that point, the student's like, wow, never thought about that. I mean, I eat good food, I get exercise, I work with my teammates, I do, great in my schoolwork. But what is it to care for that part of me that may not have a beginning or an ending? And at that point, Socrates started talking about what we now term virtues. In other words, good acts. And that's what Hygge is all about. So Hygge is about those soulful, authentic moments where we share friendship, where we share love, and we can feel that it nurtures that part of us that doesn't have a beginning or an ending. And it's not based on religion. It's based on our human experience. It's based on just an understanding of human culture. And so that is my Hygge for today.
It's a real deep one.
It's a deep one.
Because it's like your body, it's like your soul. That's what I got out of it. And your body, which has the beginning and the end, but the soul continues to live on. So like I say, it's not really, you can't attach this to religion.
No, anyone can interpret their experience of that part of them that, that part's mortal. And then there's a part of me that's then immortal.
Well, I want to bring Sarah Boatwright in the house because what she's doing right now, she needs to be part mortal, part immortal. She's a licensed therapist, competitive bodybuilder, and now she's transiting into this whole mental performance for athletes, which this kind of wraps around exactly what you were talking about today, Dee. Hey, Sarah, what's going on?
Hey, I love it. Just came straight in from the gym. It was shoulder day. Woo! That's such a great way to come into the show. Welcome to our teen athletes. One of the things that I've been thinking about so in my world, we're at the beginning of, obviously we're all at the beginning of the new calendar year, but for competitors, we're like kind of at the beginning of our season, right? Like, so all the big competitors finished up last in December. And then from here until whenever their next show is, it's either grow or cut, right? And those are things that we do in our bodies, and they are hard. Either way you do it, calorie surplus, calorie deficit, doesn't matter. It's hard. It's hard in different ways. But the thing that's been occurring to me in working with like first and second year competitors has been how to transcend the behavioral things that we have to do that are hard and carry them into, as you're saying, the immortal side, more of like the bigger reason why we're doing this. So when people see us in the gym, sometimes they think, oh, you're very vain or you're always videotaping yourself. Like, why are you so self-obsessed? But it's really about mastering our bodies and bringing our bodies into alignment with something much bigger than that. It's about self-mastery. It's about finding our edges. How far can we grow in our discipline, in our awareness, in our persistence, in our commitment to ourselves and our boundaries with the world around us. And all of that is coming, if we really drop into it, it's coming from the being, because the being, the immortal part of the self, knows the growth trajectory that our soul needs, whether we believe in one lifetime or many lifetimes, right? And so if we listen to our being and our actions, our behaviors are generated from that place, then all of our athletic pursuits become a spiritual practice because we are trying to bring all the parts of self into alignment toward a singular goal. Mm-hmm. And so it's really powerful to come into the show today and hear that Hygge piece and go Socrates. All the sculptures of him, he looks like he was a jack dude. So he must have had something right.
What's really interesting.
Go ahead.
This is Christine Marie. What's really interesting is I was listening this morning to a podcast from Michael Mead, who's a mythologist who talks a lot about the body or actually talks about the wound and the gift. And he was talking a lot about how difficult things in our lives become forward. They actually are there not to they're there to actually help us, or that ethereal part of ourselves, work through things they need to work through. It's the soul challenge, and so it's not there to what's that called, to trash us, to destroy us. It's really there to help us on another level. And I think that it's symbolized by what you were just speaking about, Sierra. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. In permaculture, they say that the solution lies in the problem, right? So if you have a snail infestation in your orchard, you don't have a snail problem, you have a duck deficit. And that was demonstrated in The Biggest Little Farm, if anybody saw that movie. So it's like, yeah, the challenges, the grit, the skid, it's there to point us in that direction of personal growth.
Yeah. We have a couple of minutes left, but Don, I want to get to Don and Emily. So Don, I know you're an avid guy that works out. I mean, every single day, pretty much, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think strength is happiness, and it's like that's mental, physical, spiritual, mind, body, spirit, and when you don't judge yourself and you don't attach your efforts to like a short-term idea of winning and losing. But I think we talked about this before. If you fall in love with the process of disciplining yourself on a consistent basis, then just waging a struggle is proof of your victory as a human being. And you must wage a struggle every day. You could temporarily pull the covers back over your head, but it's a very short-term fix. You gotta get up, and you gotta get up and do it again every day.
Emily, you probably, what do you got to do? You hum or play a song, right? To get to push through, move the
needle. Every single morning I joined the Pilates studio, Core Sport Pilates, and I've been getting up every single morning at 6 o'clock. I'm at the Pilates studio, and actually, it's amazing. And it's exactly everything you're saying is so right on point. And it reminds me of when I was an athlete in high school. I was a track star. And the reason I say I was a star is because I really knew it was a spiritual experience. And I didn't identify it at the time, but it was the discipline. It was the showing up, which is what spiritual practice is all about. And I remember when I was running around that track and there was nothing in my mind. This is an interesting thing about winning, losing versus the process. There was nothing in my mind that allowed me to even have the idea that I was going to lose. And I never lost a single race. I always won, but I knew it was because I was so aligned with the spiritual essence. It had nothing to do about proving myself. It had nothing to do about people in the crowd. Everything and everyone disappeared, and every muscle in my body was so entirely aligned. And that's what I feel now. I am such an emotional, empathetic, sensitive. There's a part of me that's so shy and so introverted, although I know some of you will find that hard to believe, but but it really helps. So for teenagers who are emotional, just because the hormones are surging and all that kind of stuff, if you can just make a practice, even if you're not on a sports team, but you make a practice, you go for a walk in nature, with your friends or whatever, but you do it. It is that discipline every single day that transforms your mind and your body, but it comes from the spirit. And the other caveat of that is I was in my teaching, I learned about the Socratic method and we used it. And those questions that Socratic used were really essential in that. So I see that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Well, we've got people who want to take care of in the community because we provide support. So keep it here, everybody. We've got a lot of show today, right after these.
Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh, 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 oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me. Yeah, yeah. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. So they say, dance for me, dance for me, dance for me. Oh, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me. Hey, hey. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hi, it's nice to see you all. I've been away for a couple months, and it's almost 10 months since my son has died of an overdose. So Pardon?
Stephanie Forrester.
Yeah. So, so I've been away. I bought a little house in Hicksville, Ohio, and got a lot of soul searching on myself. When this first happened, I just dug in so deep with everything that I could find out, But, going back now because I'm part of Project Opiate, but I have been gone for 2 months. The good news is we are getting movement. And the good news is I have to realize it's going to take time. And I'm finding more and more people now forming their own groups and getting together with our county and our, we have the Project Opiate, but we also have a Fighting Back with CADA, which is really good. We've got a new director for CADA. We've got John Doyle involved in it. I love their new attitude right now. And the attitude is going straight to the problem now. Let's just cut through it. Let's go straight to the problem. And Randy actually said, that's what I want to have done, is going straight to the problem, just like we handled the last slide, just like we're handling the slide right now. Everybody, you just go straight to the problem. I feel like we've a little bit tiptoed around the Narcan, and those are all just steps that we have to take to get to where we are now. So that's the good news that I feel. I'm devastated at the amount of kids that have died this year versus last year. I just got the stats, and it's really sad, and I feel really bad for families, people, the community, to lose our children. But I do think that we are moving in the right direction. I don't think it's fast enough, but I'll take anything at this point. And I guess one of my hardest things is being anywhere and hearing somebody say something like the word mom. And I go and I think that word isn't me anymore. He was my only son. So, that's kind of what I just wanted to say. And about the sports, if I had to add sports growing up, and if I didn't run marathons, if I didn't do that, I don't know what I would do. And I never thought of it. I never thought of it. I mean, I would go in my own zone. I remember the top 10 most beautiful people, 3 of them.
It's a little hard to hear you.
We can't hear you. You're gone muffled.
There you go.
Um,
So are you running and doing things that are helping you feel better?
Yes, not in 10, it's below 10 here. So I got a ellipticore and a Peloton, and I've been slowly doing it, but I want to, because it's the only time I can really block out things. And that's how I've always done it. I let my mind just let go. And
a lot of athletes do that. They're participating in their sport, that's the holiday from the problem that they're facing.
Right.
Yeah. I look around and I see the mountains that I'm running down. I just forget about everything. Yeah. And that's what motivated me.
Yeah.
So,
Don Sanders.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had a question. Can you speak a little bit more about the progress that you're seeing, especially with the Fighting Back program with CADA? Like, what actually is changing that's helping support that progress?
I think Randy Rouse, our mayor, I spoke to him today. I think that he would like to see an emergency act happen, just like the slides we just had, or we want to see an emergency act. We want to see more people going into education and harm reduction. To me, this is not his quote. I know that Narcan's important, but for me personally, I'm past it. I mean, it needs to be in the schools. It needs to be it's got to be part of something now. I mean, you get to, everybody's trying to do the best they can, but, I just think if everybody's on the same path, and I think Randy reiterated that, and I know that we've got a new assistant director for CADA, and she is really learning towards education and the harm reduction. Yeah, so she's going to be really, really good.
Thank
and I
you.
tried to talk to the coroner's office, and staff's just really high. And I'll be really quick. It dumbfounds me that we have lost more people this last year than we lost in the whole Vietnam War and the Korean War together combined. So, yeah.
So it's all about connection, huh? That's the direct solution, is connecting, whether it's a mental health issue or whatever issue it is. Everything that we can do from one human being to another to connect with our community, that's what's saving lives.
Right. And if we kept Randy, I'll quote Randy again. If we can get politics out of it, and if we can get the government out of it, we come a lot closer to help making this work. So
at the end of the day, half of all kids in high school are going to try a pill. Okay. I mean, if I look at when we were in high school, but it wasn't, I saw lots of pills and bowls and everything, but you didn't have to worry about the next day not waking up. Mm-hmm. And then the problem is that these pills are all being manufactured to look like pharmaceuticals. So
they look like they're something that your parent took, or something that, someone got prescribed for a sports injury or something.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. The education.
That's how Justin started, by a shattered ankle, and was sent home with 180 Vicodin during COVID.
Right.
So maybe that's what harm reduction and education is going to be really helpful.
Right. Let's do this. Let's not go away. We've got we've got more to add to this topic. We'll be right back.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, every girl, and a man.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m. This is Erica, the Queen of Teen. We're back. We're on a touchy subject. We don't want to be the kind of show that just doesn't put out the information that kids and parents and grandparents need to hear, because it's something that it's going to affect us. On this show, we've had 2 co-hosts that lost a child, and it's devastating for the small group that we have for the last 13 years servicing the community. That's insane. And then when you look at the statistics, 50% of all kids in high school are going to try something, try a pill. And then you look at those pills, and 4 out of 10 of those pills can kill them. So I like numbers. So 50%, think about this, 50% of all the kids are going to try something, and 4, this is not, Russian roulette. Okay. 40% of those pills for the 50% of the kids that are going to try it. So this is why coaches, you have to empower kids. When we were in Donnan, and any athlete here, all raised in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we were given a bag of ice, if we had pain. There was we didn't get pumped pills of any kind. And now it's always been, you go to the doctor, what are they going to do? Is going to give you a pill. So our American Medical Association needs to stand up, and they need to be accountable. Okay. That's number one. Number two, you can't not show out these statistics. We should have a faces to fentanyl wall in every single school, so kids can see exactly what's happening and who's lost. And kids should be reminded. And if they've ever been given a pill from anybody, that they should report it. Okay. And then if they are given a pill and it's tested and it's laced with fentanyl, then I'm sorry, that child goes to jail, or that dealer or whatever. So we need to stop from the top down. And Dawn, I'm sorry. I mean, you've just been going through something right now. I can't even put words to it. And I just like to have, you tell your story.
So on Christmas Eve, we got a call. My daughter was crying, and I walked into the living room, and my wife says, is on the phone crying. I'm like, what is it? And she's like, Jeremy is dead. And so, my 28-year-old. And I'm thinking, as I've listened to you guys talk, yes, connection is so important. And I struggled to keep a connection with him when my ex and I went through divorce. And the only real 50-50 divorce you can have is if you're in the same community, and I wasn't. And so first I was in LA, and then we moved up here to Ojai, which was closer to them. And we chose Ojai with them in mind, still wanting to keep in a connection to my son and my daughter. But he was very immersed in both high school basketball, and he made varsity as a freshman. And I got to say, that got him in an environment where he was partying with older kids and exploring drugs and sex too early. And to make sense of it, and it was that 16 age, all my kids pretty much have thought, what do I need adults for a little while? I've got stuff I got to deal with. Then later on, because we kept, trying to involve them, take them on trips, keep a dialogue. Everybody but my older son made it through this, because he got into heaps of trouble, between those the club basketball environment and the school basketball environment. And these are reputable clubs, they're good schools, and he still found his way into all sorts of trouble. And it didn't come out till years later, when I finally got to the stage with him where they think, okay, I can talk to my parents again, that I heard all these terrible stories, And so his mother had him in rehabs. He seemed to be doing a lot better. He was a self-medicator, for his most recent birthday, we met at a barbecue place and he was ordering drinks. And I'm like, wait a minute, should a recovering alcoholic be drinking, so, that's part of the issues I had trying to, with my ex too. Why that's even happening. So what I'm sitting with a lot right now is that, my heart was with him. I made a lot of efforts to try and steer him the way I steered the other kids. And I couldn't. My younger daughter says, we lost him at 16 and we didn't get him back. And so, he's been among us ever since he was 16, but he's been remote and hard to reach, and, in and out of rehabs and things like that. And then finally, I guess, he went out to self-medicate the night before Christmas Eve. And I don't know if it'll turn out. The toxicology report won't be available for a few months, whether it's going to be something laced with fentanyl, or whether he went back to meth, maybe at a dose he hadn't been on for a few years, and it was just too much for his system. I won't know for a while what was the exact cause. Well, but yeah, we shouldn't be having to cremate our babies.
Exactly.
The future, the future depends on the passion and power of youth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think sports is like,
when you hear that fentanyl is the number one killer from 18 to 38, that's all that should be said. And then somebody just says enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Okay, because
50 to 100 times more powerful than morphine. And there was an article popped up that last year in North America, the amount of in California only, the amount of fentanyl seized was enough to kill everyone in North America 2 times over.
Yeah. But see, this is what, Dr. Amy's not here today. I'm not trying to bag on the whole medical community, but how many prescriptions, how many meds was he given, Stephanie?
180.
180 within a 2-week span. And he shattered his ankle. He could have taken Tylenol because he was over the age of 18. I couldn't monitor it. I was able to get the information from the pharmacist eventually, but he was hooked, and he was at home in bed at COVID, and it just spiraled. And I there's so much, I don't want to be negative about it because I want to be positive, but I also, I ponder, where are the millions of dollars that we just got in the lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies here? I mean, everywhere. That's, now I'm going off into another subject, but it just has to stop.
Just to pull this section to a close, if we can all come together in fighting a pandemic, we can all come together in fighting this pandemic regarding fentanyl.
Right. Sierra, does anybody here have any ideas? I don't want to, we're going to take a little break. Let's take a break and come back, and then everybody can go around and say, okay, if you can, if you have a clean slate and you can write something down and it must be implemented, what would that be? We'll be back with more after these messages.
Brazil. Back in the USSR. We got another day, every day, dancing in the street. Crossing China too, me and you, dancing in the street.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m. Stephanie Forrester, you wanted to, we'll start off with you to figure out what's
solutions.
Yeah, we like to have solutions.
My solutions are, we look at other people and we love them and we care about them and we want to make this place a better world. And I think everybody should have a foot in the door.
Yeah. Emily, you're Jason.
Yes, I have a very dear friend whose 28-year-old nephew died from fentanyl overdose. So I went through that with him. I totally agree with all the things that have been said, but these are really deep-seated issues of not feeling loved, not feeling good enough. And so I think the connection has to start at we talked about earlier, that spiritual level, at a really deep soul level. And I just started this letter writing project. There is these letters that you can write, and you get names of people who are struggling. And so if we can talk and listen at really deep levels and ask those questions, because a lot of times what happens when people are going to go down this route, they don't talk about it, right? So you have to pay attention and ask those questions and be present. And it's usually, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved, I don't belong, all that kind of stuff. But you got to go deeper, because we're missing that. So that's my 2 cents.
And thank you so much, Emily. That's exactly what I was thinking of, was we have to start getting comfortable having uncomfortable conversations, being vulnerable, being transparent, and being willing to be authentic with the emotions and difficult feelings that we are having ourselves, so that we can open those conversations, so that we can clear the pain and the grief and the ugliness that people just want to pretend is not there. We need to have difficult conversations.
John.
Well, this is a much bigger can of worms, but I'm going to say back in 1974, when sports generalization went to sports specialty, and we couldn't get my son to go on family vacations and things like that anymore. When I was growing up, my sports heroes were guys who played 3 sports, went on family vacations, and had a paper route in the afternoon. They were well-rounded, balanced people. I think we got to look at this obsession with, everything for, it's great to want to excel. It's great to want to compete and win, but, we never through those troubling years, we never even could get him to go with us on a family vacation.
Sierra Boatwright.
I'm going to go really solution focused and harm reduction focused and say it is ridiculous that having a fentanyl test kit is illegal. And if we know that 50% of teens are going to try stuff, then we should be empowering them to test what they're going to try before they take it to see if there's fentanyl in it so they can protect themselves.
Here.
Good.
Yeah.
I so
and
appreciate
Narcan.
that.
Everybody should have Narcan everywhere. It should be everywhere.
Yeah. And
So
what,
there's no
give me one reason why the test kit, we got a minute. One reason why the test kit was illegal. Why is that?
What I was told was that it proves possession. And so if you're found with a test kit, then that implies that you are in possession, and that is an illegal activity.
That's ridiculous. Oh my God, we've got to change that.
That's got to get changed. Okay, this doesn't even make any sense. And if one thing came out of this show today, that is absolutely absurd. Absurd. Insane.
And I mean, that's what I heard. John Doyle would be the best person to ask if that's actually correct. But
all right, so that's our task for the week is to work on getting these test kits not to be illegal.
Yeah. And give an idea too. What's that?
Real quick on that. From Project Opiate, we are allowed to now pass out the test kits, and Pacific Pride does that too. They hand them out.
All right, so
good.
Let's get the information out on that. Hope you enjoyed the show. God bless you guys, Santa Barbara. Stay safe, stay dry. See you next week.
I'm unstoppable. I'm a pusher with no brakes. I'm invincible. I win every single